Whether you're starting a new routine at the gym or rolling out the mats at home, that early momentum, it can fade fast. One weekend, the soreness kicks in, the motivation starts to slip away, and suddenly it's a whole lot easier to quit than it is to keep going. And while you may think that this is all about mindset, it's not about the mindset at all. It's about fueling what your needs are. And the fix to this starts with what's on your plate. Most people blame themselves for not sticking to a workout routine. They think it's laziness or lack of motivation or lack of self-discipline. But after 25 years in clinical nutrition and functional medicine and 35 years of training consistently myself, I can tell you that that's not the full story. The truth is that the food choices you're making are actually fueling your success or fueling your failure. And today, I want to show you how you can fuel consistently and show up completely different for your workouts. Let's revisit the problem pattern. You start strong, you've got some new gear that you're going to start using, start implementing into your workout routine, and your motivation, it's high. You get going, and all of a sudden you've got a little soreness creeping in. It's starting to feel uncomfortable, and you're telling yourself it's okay to miss a workout so you can recover and get past it, and your guilt starts to slip in. And before you know it, you've missed a string of workouts, and you're no longer engaged in your activity, and you've just quit. How do we stop this? The solution to this problem is acknowledging that we've been misdiagnosing it. The popular belief is that when your motivation fails, you failed. The real problem is that you have inconsistent energy levels, both mentally and physically, your blood sugar levels aren't stable, and you're dealing with chronic inflammation. And all of this is a byproduct of the food choices that you've been making that are lacking in appropriate amounts of animal-based regenerative foods that can help with your recovery and get you to a point both mentally and physically where you don't feel like you're failing and you feel like you can dive in and be consistent. Over time, when that motivation starts to fail, you begin to tell yourself the lie that you can't be successful, that you can't make progress in the areas that you want to with regards to your physical health. It's not true. It's not about trying to hit perfection and be completely flawless. It's just about moving forward and continuing to take steps in the right direction. When we start to buy into this lie, we're letting our feelings guide our emotions, rather than having a concrete structure that we can lean on that's going to tell us what to do next. This is not about suppressing your emotions in any way, but rather it's about trying to create some stability in your nervous system as a whole so that there can be consistency for you both mentally and physically to help you keep making consistent steps forward. Let's take a quick look at what the wrong foods can do. Diets that are high in refined carbohydrates, even the healthy refined carbohydrates, can cause your blood sugar to spike up and down. You can have crashes before you've even tried to engage in any physical activity. You need more blood sugar stability there. Part of what helps guide that are the right proteins and fats, not just the right quantities, but also the right sources on these. When you look at having adequate amounts of proteins are going to fuel your physical recovery, but proteins are also going to fuel your neurological and your mental recovery. They're going to help with your hormones and make your hormones that depend on proteins to be built more robust. The fats in your diet, same thing. The fats are going to support certain classes of hormones, but fats are also either going to very directly drive inflammation or have an anti-inflammatory effect. Fats like the wrong quantities of the omega-6s are going to exacerbate the inflammatory cascades and slow down your recovery time frame. You contrast that against omega-3s, and those omega-3s are going to dampen the inflammation and they're going to accelerate your recovery phase. So just making sure that you're eliminating the wrong kinds of foods and paying attention to both quantity and quality can make a huge difference. What does the right diet look like? Well, rather than giving you exact foods, let's think contextually on this. Let's think about how to organize your diet and where to source your foods at, because you need to be able to think through different environments and scenarios that you're in rather than just having to try to rely on a list of foods or a specific overly planned dietary schedule. Let's be honest. Most people aren't going to stick to those for any length of time because they didn't truly learn anything by using those. However, if you can teach yourself to lean into pasture-raised foods, foods that are going to be inherently higher in protein, inherently more nutrient dense, those foods are going to aid in the recovery process, both physically and mentally. High quantities of amino acids in there. You're going to find that it's going to be supportive of the nervous system. It's going to be supportive of the hormonal system. These food classes also tend to have higher amounts of omega-3s to dampen the inflammatory cascades. You'll find other beneficial fats in here like conjugated linoleic acid, as well as an antioxidant named carnosine. Anserine, another one in this group, that these come from your grass-finished beef. These are unique to beef. These are the kind of things that we're looking for. You can also bring in organ meats, right? You don't have to be over the top. Like here at the ranch, we produce a product that is, we call it our ancestral blend. It's 85% ground beef, 15% organ blend. There's going to be liver, spleen, kidney in there. Heart is the other organ that's in that as well. And these organ tissues have unique nutrient profiles. And so it's a way to incorporate in higher quantities of nutrients than maybe what you see in just the skeletal meat, even though that's great in and of itself. But the point is that you get nutrients like your B vitamins, which are going to drive these energy cascades, these energy processes that we're thinking about, and that which many people are suffering from when they can't hang on to their motivation and continue to engage in their workouts, or when they don't recover from their workouts like they're supposed to. These are all things that are easily corrected with sourcing out the right types of food that can get you to not only take that step and lean into that workout, but stay engaged in that workout routine to the point that you can ultimately begin to see results from it. When you've been around the workout environment for 35 years, you see a lot of gimmicks come through. And I'm not into hype, I'm not into gimmicks, I'm just simply into what works consistently and what's the easiest way to implement these things. And this is where, when I look at my diet and I sit down to a meal and I'm looking at that meal, for example, I will work out tomorrow morning, I'll look at my meal tonight, and I'm telling myself, okay, the proteins in this meal, they're going to aid and start fueling my recovery for what's coming tomorrow morning. When I look at the carbohydrates in this meal, I tell myself that's going to be part of the energy production that I need to help me move through that process, to move through that workout. When I've put this much intention into doing a workout, into my food, when I put that much intention towards my food, it's not a matter of if I'm going to go do the workout, I'm going to subscribe to the dedication. I took the first step with the food. The food already mentally engaged me to the workout. I wouldn't have made the dietary choices and had that meal the way I did and made those food choices if I wasn't going to follow through with the workout and try to get the maximum out of my effort and the food that I've already consumed. So it's about adhering to a process that begins with your diet and not necessarily about trying to find gimmicks or hypes. Still, far too often, even after all the nonsense that we see out there, I still see so many individuals and I get so many questions from individuals asking me, well, what about this thing that you saw? What about that thing that you saw? Forget all that stuff. Just stick to real food that is not refined, that is in its whole food forms. Make that the foundation of your diet and go and use that to build momentum to move into your workout. You will find that when you have the right foods consistently, it literally begins to open the door and thrust you in to wanting to be more active, to use that new energy, which you can in turn put into the workout environment, whether that's at home or whether you're going to a gym, and you can in turn reap double or triple and even more synergistic quantities of the benefits that are going to arise from that. When you're looking at food, don't think about food as calories. Think about food as your consistency insurance. It is ensuring that you're going to take the next step. Step one, bring the right food into your house. And over time, you're going to see that choices for the right foods are going to allow you to naturally evolve. The opposite of this is also true. And this is why we see many individuals start snowballing downhill, because one bad choice becomes multiple other bad choices. You can reverse that in your favor, where one good choice compounds into the next good choice, that over time, you've made several good choices that all align with each other, and you've got a new facet of your health, but it began with the food that you had on your plate right in front of you. The beauty of this mindset is that the more you engage in it, the more consistent the results become. And you're not just building physical stamina and resilience, you're also building mental stamina and resilience that doubles over into other facets of your life. If you're struggling to stay consistent, don't blame your mindset. Start by looking at your meals. If they're not supporting your movement, they're working against it. And if you're trying to figure out which foods are going to fuel consistency, check out this video here. Whole versus cut chickens. 5 reasons you'll never buy parts again. Because when you focus on what's on your plate, everything else falls into place.